Both parties, please raise your right hands.
Plaintiff Sidney Edberg is suing the father of his grandson, Jeffrey Neer, for an unpaid loan. Sidney accuses the defendant of being abusive to his 2.5-year-old son. Jeffrey denies abusing his son and says because the plaintiff filed a restraining order against him, it prevented him from repaying the loan.
All rise. The Honorable Judge Pirro presiding.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Judge. Please be seated.
This is a case of Sidney Edberg, who is suing Jeffrey Neer for an unpaid loan.
Yes, ma'am.
Sidney, tell us why you're here.
Well, Your Honor, I'm here for my grandson. I have a 2-year-old grandson that's blind. That this jerk thinks it's his puppet. That's what it boils down to.
Is he the father?
He is the father.
You're the father of his grandson?
Yes.
Okay.
I have some pictures of my grandson here. He's almost 3. Although he is blind and has optic nerve hypoplasia, he doesn't let it slow it down.
How did he become blind?
He was born like that.
Oh.
Mr. Neer has been inappropriate with my grandson on many occasions. On several occasions, he's been verbally and physically abusive with my grandson and other family members.
All right, let me ask you this. Jeffrey, when did you meet the plaintiff's daughter?
In school years ago.
And you had a child with her?
Yes.
And the baby's name is?
Nicholas.
Nicholas?
Yes.
All right. How old is Nicholas today?
He's, his birthday's like in 20 days. He's almost 3.
He's almost 3. Okay.
Mr. Neer had made lots of statements. We've called the police on, I can't even name how many times.
Do you have police reports?
No, they won't release them because the baby was so old and it was in dispute.
Did they call the police on you?
Only once that I'm aware of.
He would say things to the child at 6 months, not even 6 months. I could kill you, I could kill your mother and you wouldn't see it coming because the baby is blind. It's my understanding, and I don't know the law, but it's my understanding threats of violence is part of the statute of domestic violence.
You said I could kill you and your mother, you wouldn't see it coming.
Yes, it's being taken out of context, but yes, I did say it.
What are the circumstances surrounding your making a statement like that to your baby and your baby's mother?
What I was playing with my son. I had him in my arms, and me and the mother were arguing at the time. And I had said, you know, it really doesn't matter what you say, it's how you say the tone of voice. And I had said, you know, see, I'm gonna kill you. And the baby would start laughing because I would say it in a playful voice.
Here are the pictures of how he wants to dress my grandson. He takes the baby overnight, he returns him with the mohawk with glue in it, tosses me the glue on the porch and says, good luck getting that out.
Jimmy, show this to the defendant. Where did the baby get that shirt?
The mother was there when I purchased both these shirts and had no objection at the time of purchase. The
you
baby
purchased those shirts for the baby?
Yes.
Do you want to read what they say?
It says, I'm so and my daddy's.
You think that's appropriate?
It's in bad taste, but everybody has a different level of taste, Your Honor.
Tell me about this picture. What is this on the baby's back?
I believe it was September. That is a really bad bruise. When Jeffrey took him overnight, he made claim that he left the child with a babysitter. He returns him with the mohawk with glue in it, and then we go to change the baby, we find that.
How did Nicholas get this injury?
To be honest, Your Honor, I'm not sure if I picked him up with that injury or if he obtained it while he was with me.
Did you give a statement to the court?
Yes, I did.
All right, and what did you say in your statement to the court?
Exactly that. I wasn't sure if he had received it with me or without me, but he never cried or complained about the injury.
Okay.
And to be honest, Your Honor,
during one of my visits with him, I gave my son a mohawk. My son is blind and falls down a lot and hurts himself.
Your Honor.
Do you think this injury occurred as a result of a falling?
I have no idea.
You expect me to believe that when you return a baby with a mohawk and glue in his hair and an injury like that you know nothing about it?
No, I didn't know anything about that. I did notice,
Your Honor.
Your Honor, when I dropped off.
I'm done with you. Go ahead.
When he returned the child, on that day in question of the injury, Nicholas was complaining of his back, reaching back.
When you call the police, or did you call Child Protective on this?
We first called the police. They explained to us that it would be a little bit because they had a shooting in the area. So we didn't want to wait. We took him immediately to the emergency room. They contacted the police and did a crime scene investigation.
Why was there no arrest on this? This is intentional child abuse.
I don't know. I wish there was.
This kind of injury is not from a fall.
We actually took him to a forensic specialist for child abuse. Her statement to me, it was not indicative to a blind child under the age of 5. On the front of the child, it would be considered something. Of course.
This is not the kind of injury you get from a fall.
Absolutely
not.
This
is intentional child abuse. I ran a child abuse bureau for 15 years.
And this is not the first time, Your Honor. He's got a serious criminal background with battery to a family member, domestic violence with children where he lost the custody of his other 3 children with a previous relationship.
Do you have 3 other children?
Yes.
Did you lose custody of those 3?
Yes.
You know, losing custody of children is extremely serious. What did you do to lose custody of your 3 kids?
Between me and the mother arguing, they decided that it was detrimental to the health of our children.
That's hogwash. I sat in the family court. I've decided custody. I've terminated parental rights. You don't lose custody because you fight with the mother.
We initially got in the court system for that. They said that we didn't sufficiently complete the programs that they wanted us to do.
Baloney. Go ahead.
CPS found him. The father was neglectful and failing to protect Nicholas. Doesn't accept Nicholas's disabilities. That's a mediation report.
Why did Child Protective Services let him see the baby after returning the baby to you with a mohawk, glue in his hair, and that injury?
CPS wanted it monitored.
I had plenty of visits before this visit with no incident whatsoever. I've picked up my son with gnarly black eyes, bumps on the back of his head. No, I don't.
Did you call the police?
No.
Did you call Child Protective Services?
No.
I don't believe you.
But
all right, now wait a minute. Wait a minute. Why is there mediation on this case?
Because we were trying to restrict his visitation and no overnights.
What's to mediate?
We were ordered to do that by the judge.
What's to mediate? This is the problem with the courts. This is not about mediation. If you've got a victim and you've got an abuser, this is not about working it out. It's about taking away custody. Like the last 3, you should have lost custody of this baby as well. There's nothing to mediate in these cases.
Defendant Jeffrey Neer denies the plaintiff's allegations that he abuses his 2.5-year-old son.
Go ahead, Mr. Edberg.
There's one more picture I'd like for you to see. The one with him laying on the couch, the one beneath that. That's how he showed up at my house, wearing that shirt, and I refused to let him in, and we did have to call the police for that, too.
What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you?
Everybody has different tastes, Your Honor, and apparently mine is a little lower than other people's.
You know what? There is a First Amendment in this country, and you're absolutely right about that.
Yes.
And you know what? At some point, someone's got to decide that this is not the kind of background for a baby who is blind, who is not in a position to defend himself. That baby has rights. All right. What else do you want to tell me?
Mr. Neer failed to do anything for the child for the first 6 months of his life.
The first 6 months of the baby's life, did you pay any child support?
No, I did not.
Why?
She was on welfare, and I was under the impression at the time that welfare was going to reimburse
She's
me.
on welfare, so you're not paying child support? It's your baby.
I understand
You've
that.
admitted it's your baby.
Yes, I understand that.
All right, go ahead.
So, as that goes, I had to take care of my daughter and the child. The child had special needs.
And they're living with you?
Correct.
Okay.
Child had to see specialists several times a week. All of the baby's clothing, all of his financial needs, I took care of. This was discussed several times with Mr. Neer. He agreed on several different occasions to help financially and failed to do so.
All right, so you have a discussion with him about money.
Correct.
And what do you tell him?
I tell him that I didn't think it was appropriate. I've spent over $7,000 the first 6 months of the child's life.
Do you have receipts?
No, I don't. I do have a signed promissory note by Mr. Neer that was witnessed that he agreed to pay back the money.
You agreed to pay back the money?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let me see the promissory note.
It was in $20 increments. If he spent $7,000 in the first 6 months, I'd love to see where it went.
Well, but the interesting thing is it's not about where he lives. It's about taking care of the medical care for a baby who was born blind.
My son has been on my insurance ever since he was born.
That's not correct, Your Honor. He canceled the baby's insurance when he changed jobs.
Prove it.
Prove it?
Yeah.
I'm a union employee. I don't have my medical card with me, but especially the first 6 months, I was employed by one employer.
This is a court of law.
I understand. I don't have any proof.
You don't have any of the bills, any of the, every time you submit to insurance, insurance sends you a copy that they have paid and what you owe is a copay. You don't have any of that.
I didn't believe
All right,
that.
so then don't even go there. What I have here is a promissory note. It is signed by Sidney Jeffrey, dated September the 10th of 06, and there is a witness. So you signed a promissory note, and you are not in a position now to say that you don't agree with the amount. You signed it.
I don't have any problem with the amount. It was done in $20 increments.
How much do you make?
A year?
Yeah.
50, 60,000.
It's $37.99 an hour, Your Honor.
All right, he makes $50,000, $60,000 a year.
My daughter, being on aid, could pay $100 a month. He could pay $20. It's ridiculous.
What are you doing?
Then he just stops paying because of a restraining order. We seen him in court. He could have gave it to his attorney.
If there's a restraining order, someone has decided you can't see the baby, so you stop paying?
He was named on the restraining order. How am I supposed to pay?
Did you ever hear the mail? Did you ever hear a direct deposit?
The restraining order clearly stated Mr. Edbergsmeer not to mail, contact, hit, strike, show up the residence. I was not allowed to have contact with this man in any way, shape, or form.
Your Honor,
and
the restraining order went in September of 07. He quit paying April of 07.
How do you explain that one?
That's not true. Your Honor, why would I stop?
Why would you stop? Because you're cheap.
I am anything but cheap, Your Honor. When I was making my weekly court-ordered visits, anytime she asked me for anything, I showed up with double what she asked me for. She said she needed diapers. I brought up 2 boxes. She said that she didn't like the stroller I got her. I went out and I got her the one she wanted. She wanted one of those ones where she could exercise with a bike tire. I've completely give to my son. Losing 3 children prior, I've been extremely cautious in what I say and what I do around the child.
Well, obviously not cautious enough, because I just saw injury that is indicative of child abuse.
Defendant Jeffrey Neer denies the plaintiff's allegations that he abuses his 2.5-year-old son.
All right, what else do you want to say? Hit me.
Obviously, you've already made up your mind, Your Honor.
You know when I made up my mind? When I saw the picture of the baby.
It
is one thing to make a decision that you may or may not want to be part of your baby's life, or that you want to pay $20 on a $60,000 salary a year. You want to pay $20 a month, where he's got to threaten you for you to make payments for the child because there are medical bills because your child is born blind.
What medical bills?
You tell your child that you could kill him and his mother and he wouldn't see it coming. He comes back with a mohawk, glue in his hair, and a 10-inch injury across his back. You want me to believe anything you say? Not a chance. Here's the bottom line. The plaintiff is suing for the amount of $3,567. He gets that. No questions asked. There's a promissory note. The law is clear. Now, let me tell you something. In this country, there are 1,500 child fatalities a year. Most of those cases, at least 80%, involve kids who were 4 years old and younger. And at the end of the day, there are 6 million cases that Child Protective Services looks at every year. Some of them they miss, some of them they don't make the right decisions on. They don't determine where and what happens in most of these cases. If there is child abuse, and there has been in your past, that's why you lost your last 3 children, that's an indication that you don't even deserve to be around an almost 3-year-old baby who was born blind. As far as I'm concerned, you better continue to pay those child support payments. I don't care if you're seeing the baby or not. That's your obligation. The bottom line is, in this country, anyone who suspects child abuse should call Child Protective Services. You don't have to be right. You don't even have to probably be right. As long as you're acting in good faith, you have the right. Indeed, as a citizen, you have the obligation to call those 800 numbers. At the end of the day, call the National Child Abuse Hotline. The number is 1-800-4-A-CHILD. These children need to be protected. You can't assume that the parents are doing them, because obviously they're not in every case. Verdict for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor.